Hey everyone, we're always told that to get ahead in life you've got to be smart, right? Like you need a super high IQ. But what if I told you that's just a tiny, tiny piece of the puzzle? Today, we're going to talk about the hidden superpower that really makes the difference.
Okay, so get this. Research, like the stuff Daniel Goleman talks about, has found something pretty shocking. Our IQ, how book smart we are, only accounts for about 20% of our success in life. 20%, that's it. So that leaves this massive 80% gap. What's going on there?
So, that's the big question, isn't it? If being a genius isn't the main thing, what is? What in the world makes up that other 80%? Well, the answer is a totally different kind of intelligence. It's called emotional intelligence, or EQ.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at this whole intelligence paradox. Then we'll meet the two minds inside your head. After that, we'll break down the 5 pillars of EQ, get into some real-world tips for mastering your emotions, and finally, see how your feelings can actually create this incredible ripple effect.
All right, first up, meet your two minds. This is all about the constant battle between your head and your heart.
So think of it like this. You've got two different operating systems running at all times. On one side, you've got the rational mind. That's the one that thinks, that's conscious, that can ponder and reflect. But on the other side, you've got the emotional mind. And this one, it feels. It's impulsive, it's super powerful, and sometimes, let's be honest, it's totally illogical. Now, most of the time, they work together in harmony. But when a really strong emotion hits, bam, the scales can tip, and that emotional mind just takes over the whole show.
And when that takeover happens, it actually has a name. It's called an amygdala hijack. See, deep inside our brain, there's this little almond-shaped thing called the amygdala, and it's like our emotional alarm system. It can spot a threat and trigger this massive, overwhelming emotional response before the thinking part of our brain even knows what's going on. It's why you can literally leap out of the way of a speeding car before you've even consciously thought, hey, a car.
And this hijack? It's the reason why sometimes you feel like you just can't think straight when you're super angry or anxious. A powerful emotion like that creates what's basically neural static. It just jams the signal to the part of your brain in charge of working memory. It literally short-circuits our ability to learn, to remember things, or make a good decision in that moment.
So if our emotional mind is so powerful, how do we learn to work with it instead of just letting it hijack us all the time? Well, that's where we get into the 5 pillars of emotional intelligence. This is how we deconstruct that hidden power.
Okay, so experts have broken down EQ into these 5 core skills. It's like a roadmap. It all starts with you, with self-awareness. That's just recognizing what you're feeling when you're feeling it. Then comes self-management, which is all about handling those feelings so they don't run your life. Number 3 is motivation, using your emotions to push you towards your goals. Then the focus shifts outward. We've got empathy, which is feeling with people, and finally, handling relationships, which is where you put it all together to navigate the social world.
And there's this amazing story that just perfectly captures that first pillar, self-awareness. So, you have this samurai who storms up to a Zen master and demands to know about heaven and hell. The master just scoffs at him, which, of course, makes the samurai fly into a rage. He pulls out his sword, ready to strike, and the master just looks at him calmly and says, "That is hell." The samurai is stunned. He realizes he's been completely consumed by his own fury. He puts his sword away and bows, and the master says, "And that is heaven." See, in that first moment, he was his anger. That was hell. The second he became aware of his anger, he could choose a different path. That's heaven. That little gap between feeling and awareness, that's everything.
Okay, so knowing what you feel, that's step 1. Awesome. But what do you actually do with that knowledge, especially when the feelings are, really difficult? Let's move from theory to practice and talk about mastering your emotions.
Let's start by busting a huge myth about anger. We've all heard it, right? You're angry? Just vent. Let it all out. Sounds good, but the science says that's terrible advice. Venting doesn't get rid of the anger. It actually acts like gasoline on a fire. It amps up your brain's arousal, makes you rehearse all the angry thoughts, and you end up staying angrier for way longer. It just feeds the beast.
And sadness, it has its own little trap, and it's called rumination. This is when you get stuck on a loop, just replaying all the sad stuff in your head over and over and over again. You might tell yourself you're processing or trying to figure it out, but what's really happening, you're just digging the hole deeper. Rumination just makes sadness more intense and makes it stick around longer without actually solving anything.
So if venting and ruminating are out, what actually works to lift a bad mood? Well, here are a few things backed by science. First up, Distraction. But not just any distraction. Find a funny movie, something genuinely uplifting to break that negative thought cycle. Aerobic exercise is a game changer because it literally changes your body's physiology. Then there's cognitive reframing. That's a fancy way of saying find a different way to look at this. Try to see the situation in a more positive light. Or achieve an easy success. Seriously, go tackle a tiny chore you've been putting off. That little win can make a big difference. And finally, help others. It's one of the best ways to get out of your own head.
All right, up to now, we've been focused mostly on our inner world. But here's where it gets really interesting. Emotional intelligence has this massive impact on the world around us. Our feelings are not a private affair. They have this incredible ripple effect. Yeah, believe it or not, our emotions are contagious. They spread from one person to another just like a virus. It's a real thing called emotional contagion, and it's happening all the time, usually without us even noticing. You know how one person's foul mood can just suck the energy out of a room, or how someone's genuine joy can totally lift you up? That's what we're talking about. And there's this fantastic story from Daniel Goleman's book that shows this perfectly. It's a miserably hot day in New York City, and everyone getting on this bus is just grumpy and sullen. But the bus driver, he's this middle-aged guy with this huge, enthusiastic smile, welcoming every single person. And by the time people got off the bus, they had all shaken off that bad mood. They were smiling. He created what Goleman called a spreading virus of good feeling. All by himself. That's the power of this stuff.
And that right there is the heart of influence. This ability to actually drive the emotional state of another person, that's what great leadership is all about. It's what makes a great parent, a great teacher, a great friend. It's the real secret to building strong, healthy relationships.
So let's be clear. Emotional intelligence isn't about not feeling things. It's not about suppressing your anger or never feeling sad. It's about emotional fitness. It's having the wisdom to use the right emotion at the right time with the right person and for the right reason. Aristotle said it best over 2,000 years ago. Anyone can become angry. That is easy. But to do it in the right way, that is not easy. And he was spot on.
And maybe the best news of all is this. Unlike your IQ, which is pretty much set, your emotional intelligence is not fixed. Not at all. It's a set of skills. And just like any skill, you can learn it, you can practice it, and you can get better at it over time. It's a lifelong journey. And it all starts with that one moment of self-awareness. So the only question left is, how are you going to start mastering yours?